Hi there. I'm Igor Lerochovsky, the co-founder of the Hypnosis Training Academy and the author of the world's best-selling trainings on conversational hypnosis. I want to welcome you to this special bonus training where you'll dive even deeper into conversational hypnosis techniques. Keep watching to take your skills to the next level and unlock the full potential of your subconscious mind. See you soon.
But there's another thing that people are interested in hypnosis, which again, it's taught more often, but it's not taught that often, particularly in a certification type training, which is how do you do it on yourself, right? Self-hypnosis. Self-hypnosis is, in my opinion, a wonderful thing. It's totally changed me. If you've seen me, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago when I used to be a lawyer still, very different person. And a lot of that is down to using self-hypnosis, changing myself, becoming more of the person I want to be. You know, we're all on this wonderful path. And it does great things. There's actually a gentleman here, I don't know if he's come back from lunch yet, where is he? Who was telling me earlier on, just before lunch, that he had tooth extraction. He actually had 27 teeth pulled with no anesthetic, no blood congealants to stop the bleeding and stuff like that. Just hypnosis. Now, some might think, well, that's courage. At the same time, this is what's possible. Your mind can do amazing things when you want it to and when you allow it to. Now, the key to self-hypnosis really isn't how do you get into trance. We'll do that bit. It's actually really straightforward. It's what do you do with it. Anyone here do self-hypnosis or practice self-hypnosis or has learned self-hypnosis and stopped using it? Yeah? And anyone here just interested in self-hypnosis beyond that? Anyone here doesn't care either way? Just like, oh. Okay. Those of you who use it, I'd like to just do a little bit of a round robin. What are typically the kind of problems that you faced first learning and secondly actually using it even in your daily practice? Distractions. Okay. The critical mind kind of interfering in the process. Okay. So over here, basically when you're doing self-hypnosis, you talk to yourself in self-hypnosis?
I put it on tape.
Oh, you put it on tape, okay. So you record your own tapes for yourself, okay. So the idea being that if he listens to other people, it's not quite the same, but if he does his own tape with his own voice, his own language, it works better.
I knew my own metaphors.
You do your own metaphors?
I knew them all, so I could.
Oh, right. So you couldn't kind of fool yourself. Yeah, that's the tricky bit, like surprising yourself. Do a shock induction yourself, like, sleep. Damn it, I knew that was coming. And actually, you guys identifying really the limitations in self-hypnosis. Go ahead.
I have trouble with the visualization part.
The visualization part. You're going to love some of the things we might be doing later on, given time.
I have trouble giving myself suggestions whilst being in trance at the same time.
Thank you. I'm hoping someone was going to say this, because these are important things. Can I come back to you in a moment? The thing about self-hypnosis is it's the same as normal hypnosis. The same rules apply, but you have a dilemma. The dilemma is you are both subject and hypnotist. Now, you will have experienced by now that part of what makes the trance such a blissful experience is your willingness to hand over complete responsibility for your mind to someone else. Right? It's like total, it's like you do what you want, this is great. Now, if you're the hypnotist at the same time, who's rowing the boat whilst you're just rocking around? That's the dilemma. Because as some of you have experienced, either you listen to a tape, in which case the tape does the whole rowing bit, or you try and give yourself suggestions, which means there's part of your mind reactivated, and it's thinking. And that's where the critical factor comes in, that's where distractions can come in and distract you, etc. So what do you do about that? How do you deal with that? So there's several things that we need to do. One is the actual hypnotic state. You guys are pretty good at getting into trance already, so we'll just teach you a quick method of doing that on your own, so you don't need someone just yanking your head anywhere. But then the bigger question is going to be, what do you do when you get there? How do you use it? Is that a question worth answering? So let's begin with self-hypnosis, what it is. It's the same as this. You're still going to absorb your attention. Now, if you do this bit right, this happens automatically as a rule. Why? Because you intend it to. You know what trance feels like. You've been experiencing it pretty much for most of the day today. So when you intend to go into hypnosis, that on its own kind of does it. Now something really cool happens. When you get really good at this, and I have to admit, sometimes I get this and sometimes I don't. So when you get really good at this, you internalize the whole process to the point where you don't need trance. You don't need an induction. You don't need to visualize something. You don't need to say words to yourself. You don't need anything. All you need is a desire, an intention. I want this in my life. I want to be this way, or I want to have this experience. Your unconscious goes, all right, off you go. And that's probably happened to you guys before. Anyone, for example, here, stop smoking or something like that with just willpower, just deciding this is it, I've had enough? Anyone had a bad habit that they stopped just because that was it? Or a good habit they started because, maybe they're going to the gym or something like that, where they thought, you know what, I'm not liking this whole growth thing, so I'm going to do something about it. Think back to the moment where you changed in your life. Now, there are basically two ways that people change or you'll experience change. One is so subtle you never knew when it happened. So for example, when you were kids, you probably loved a certain thing, usually something very sweet. Now when you think about it, it's like, I don't know, my teeth go on edge just thinking about it, or vice versa. And if I asked you when you changed your taste, you have no idea. It just kind of happened, right? That's the Ericksonian approach to self-hypnosis. But the other one is equally valid. Usually you hit an emotional threshold with something. Something happens, maybe someone shouts at you and you decide, that's it, never again. I'm not doing this ever again, or I'm going to be doing this forever because this is so important to me. So you had a significant emotional response that really gets you past the A-B part, and then you just decided. And that decision's called an intention. Now you've decided things other times, usually like New Year's resolution type things, like, yeah, I'll really do it. But when you think about it now, they felt different. There was a different aspect inside yourself. Would that be fair to say? And it's that difference that we want to be exploiting. Not the bit where you go, yeah, I can do this, but like, yes, I am doing this. Now, the simplest way, and self-hypnosis, by the way, it can be a very complex field. It's a very simple way of doing it. Like everything, when you first hear about it, it sounds really simple. Then you start doing it, it's going, oh my God, there's so many things you can do with it. And after a while, it gets very simple again. So we're going to take you through a little bit of that curve today, as much as we can do. And my aim is to solve the very problems that we've been talking about. The attention. How do you get your attention to the point where it's riveted so that other things don't distract? How do you bypass your critical factor so that your mind actually accepts the suggestions you've got for yourself? How do you give yourself suggestions so that you're actually getting the results you want and you know it? And in terms of visualization, there's a special process for that, which hopefully we'll get onto today, but we'll see how it all works out. And it's interesting because these are the major key pieces. There's only one thing you haven't asked about yet, which is what happens if you suggest something to yourself and it still doesn't work? Anyone have had that experience? Right? There's a very specific process that can solve that, but it's a little bit more involved. So the first point really is, how do you talk to your mind? Either, and when I say talk, I mean that in a bigger sense of in words, pictures, or just ideas, however you form those. But how do you have a conversation with your own mind so that it gives you what you want? That'd be something interesting to think about, right? Now, how many people here have got the secrets of hypnosis revealed? Right, the correct response is everyone, because you got it for free with this course. How many people have actually listened to it? Yeah, that's more likely. So remember that in, I think it's one of the first or second CD, we talk about the actual process of suggestions, how suggestions have different impacts, depending on the type of suggestions. More appropriately, you can create the same effect with different types of suggestions, and you can affect different systems, different parts of your mind with that, right? We're doing the same in self-hypnosis. Only now you have to learn to write a much finer distinction, because you're actually directing your own mind whilst in a non-directive sort of way. And the easiest way to learn that is just by doing it.